Welcome to our Friday episode of Charts and Coffee. Hope everyone's doing great. Good to have everyone here. Let's see if I can get this mic out of the way. All right, there we go. Great to see you guys. Happy Friday. We're going into an odd long weekend, and it will be interesting to see the way the markets are going to position themselves. We have some interesting news coming out in Exxon, and that is related to the Permian Basin and shenanigans that have ensued. That's going to affect some XLE for those of you, and also think of energy and Exxon's weighting in the broader averages. That will be an interesting one to keep an eye on. Let's see here. What else do we have? All right. Ignore the, ignore the fake simpler trading, my Facebook people. The Bitcoin, oh my gosh. Anyway, welcome to the social media trolling. Oh my gosh. Anyway, good to see everybody. All right, so sound check is good. Thank you very much. So let's get to it. What else do we have going on today? We have options expiration, which is generally considered, for me, think about the caution days we've had this week. We've had a caution day on Wednesday with the Powell event, and now we have a caution day here with options expiration. I generally don't like Friday trading anyways. If someone asked me what would be your favorite day trading days, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Monday would come after that, and Friday would be a distant fifth. Not my preference as far as my favorite trading day. But when you add options expiration on top of that, I'm even more skeptical of the action. We tend to find some interesting plays around liquid open interest levels, and we tend to find some interesting runs towards where the size is. But other than that, I'm pretty content being much more conservative on options expiration Friday, and I'm much more content definitely having that cutoff at 11:30. And again, remember, even though I think Monday's a half day or some such thing, but remember that we want to be positioned in such a way that we're not relying on Monday for follow through. We're really looking at the week beginning on Tuesday of next week, right? Okay, so let's tackle some questions here. And let's see. Can I explain my stops for agro to conservative? Well, it depends on if it's a day trade or if it's an end of day trade. If it's a day trade, it's usually going to be somewhere situated below the clearing range low if I'm long. And for a trend following end of day daily time frame swing trade, it's usually going to be somewhere below the 34 EMA on the low. And that's usually the beginning of the process. And then, we kind of fine tune it from there. Okay. All right. We take a look at Honeywell. Yeah, I actually have some skin in the game on Honeywell. Have a number of layers that we are looking at. And I do like Honeywell as an entry long, but let's get specific about the candles. We need the bearish momentum, right? We need bearish momentum like we saw on Wednesday and on Thursday. A little bit of bullish momentum here. So I'm not as enthused about the current candle right there. But I do like Honeywell, generally speaking. Now, I know it's gone yellow. That doesn't make it necessarily something that is untradeable. It's a recent transition out of what's been on a parabolic uptrend to a less, less aggressive uptrend now, to a little bit of chop following the uptrend. And if I've got a nice uptrend and I go into a little bit of chop, I'm still very bullish. I'm still very much looking to the long side. Okay. All right. So then we have the, and also think about the way in which the overall grouping for Honeywell. So in other words, let's do this. For those of you that aren't familiar with what I mean by the grouping. So I want to know what it is that Honeywell, in terms of the boats and tide, what else does Honeywell, where else does it occupy space? Who else does it occupy space with? And I think most everybody knows Honeywell's exposure in the Dow, but also the XLI industrials, right? And that's usually where I'm going to be focusing on, well, what else is HON going to be moving with? Okay, and that's the way I like to do this. I like to use the ETFs. We talked about this yesterday. I like to use the ETFs as far as the watch list to see where the heavy-weighted concentration stocks are, and really focus on those. It's a tremendous edge. It really, really is. Let's see. Do they jack up options prices on Friday? I think anytime you have a volatility event, you're going to see that. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And not just options expiration, but anytime you have an expected volatility event, you'll see the implied volatility go up because the folks who are writing the options want to collect more for the risk that they're taking on, right? It's very much sort of, I live in South Florida. The closer you live to the beach, you have higher insurance, wind mitigation, hurricane insurance. It just costs more, right? Think of that as the implied volatility. So yes, absolutely. Any of these high earnings would be included. Sure. All right. Can I go over how inflation affects the dollar? Spot Forex trader along with commodities, futures, options on equities. My kind of trader. Hey there, Mark. Banks are reporting earnings today. Perplexed. I think I'm not sure what part of the narrative that you're tackling first. I mean, look, we're bullish XLF. And then we start to think about what's heavily weighted within the XLF that has the best structure. This has gone parabolic. XLF and XLE went parabolic back in late Q3, early Q4 last year. The dumpster fires of most of 2020 in terms of sectors, we started seeing a lot of rotation into them. People started looking for value there. When I say people, money started seeking out where there may be value. So I would continue to see the strength there. I would need a pullback in order to do anything with this, maybe as aggressively to an 8 EMA. As far as the dollar goes, well, I'm still very bullish on anything against the dollar except the yen and the Swiss franc. So even though the dollar may be up on one day, down on another, remember, whenever you're playing currencies, you're always playing a pair, and it includes futures. It includes the currency share ETF. You're always pairs trading, always. So it's always a U.S. dollar versus what, and the stronger, right? The stronger that this what can be, because we're bearish dollars, the better, right? The stronger that this can be, the more likely, even when we see a little bit of U.S. dollar strength, which is still very much in a range, it'll be able to hold its own. So, you're always pairs trading. So I'm continuing to take advantage of moves of strength in the dollar to short it against the pound sterling, to short it against the euro, the loonie, Canadian dollar, the Aussie, and the Kiwi. So those are my preferred. You notice there's no yen here and there's no Swiss franc. Don't look at the yen right now. As long as the overall markets, the overall equities markets, the indices are moving higher. Remember, yen is a funding currency. There's definitely that consideration of weakness in the yen as long as stonks are moving higher. And I don't want to play a weak currency against a weak currency. You always want that contrast. Contrast is absolutely the key to good pairs trading. Again, futures, currencies, Forex, or the ETF. All right. And yes, great reminder from our team over at Simpler. TGIF, although I hate Saturdays because I feel like a dragon slayer with no dragons. I love to play this game. I love when the candles are moving. But yes, if you have any questions, as always, gang. So are we looking at Nike? Yep, we are looking at Nike. It's a symbol that I like. I'll be back in my Sector Secrets Mastery to talk about Nike and a number of other symbols that we have on the watch list for entries. Absolutely. Can we take a look? Hey there, Pablo. Can we take a look? VC? Hang on. Can we take a look at VCYT? Sure. So when I am looking at, one of the things that I'm going to be doing a lot more in the Sector Secrets room is look at these actively traded ETFs. I think they present something very fun, a lot of opportunity, and probably a little bit more volatility and activity for us when we're looking at stocks that are related to an ETF. And yes, any ARC, all those ARCs, as you know, whether it's F, G, K, etc. So the thing, though, to remember is I like the ARCs, but it doesn't mean that I neglect my setups, right? Doesn't mean that I neglect my setups. So if I know that there's a tension, like you mentioned on VCYT, I still have to look at the structure of the market. And this, my friend, is absolutely chop. No problem, though. No problem. I know there's going to be bullish attention. Thank you, ARC. I know the previous trend was up. Thank you, grab candles and propulsion dots. And I know that my preferred direction is also going to be up, but I've got to wait for my zone. So the zone is going to change a bit when I go from an upward trending market to the chop. So my zone is going to change some. And it's still bullish, though. So I like it. I will just look for an oversold buy to capitalize on that. Okay. I think the markets are closed Monday, but I think there's the equities markets, the futures market, the Forex markets are open. So when I talk about the markets, gang, I'm not just talking about stonks. I don't know if there are some futures markets that have a half day. Forex is going to be moving, and I've got quite a bit of exposure in Forex. So I may do a charts and coffee on Monday. Yeah, we did a charts and coffee on Thanksgiving. We might do a charts and coffee on Monday. Chances are I will, because I'll be looking at the markets anyways. So I think equities are closed. I don't know what the CME schedule is. I'll have to check. It's not an active trading day. Clearly, I'm not that concerned about making sure I get trades in on Monday. In fact, I would suggest most traders do not trade on Monday. But if we get a little bit of price action, at least take a look at it. I just know that it'll be affected by low volume and fewer eyes on the market, right? So it's less important. It's less indicative of what the wider marketplace is thinking. Thoughts on XLF? I want to pull back. Mal, same answer as what I was mentioning on, she was asking me that earlier, and my apologies for getting, same thing. I'm just waiting for a pullback, unless I already answered that question. All right, they just come streaming through. Thank you for all the questions. But I'm looking for that pullback. And it may not be on the broader ETF. It might be on an individual stock. All right, what do I think about NQ and RTY? The same thing that I think about YM and ES2. Overall, the trend is up. RTY did not get its seasonal tendency pullback. Usually RTY going into a new year has some lagging qualities, and it didn't this year, which is why I always remind traders, do not assume that these tendencies, that these seasonals, that these 8 out of 12 times, I keep an eye on those, but I don't follow them. Setups are different than tendencies. Tendencies are not setups. So great question. I'm still very bullish on RTY, very bullish on NQ. Relating to the RTY, I'm bullish the KRE Regional Banks ETF. And so I still like the longs. I'm not interested in shorting, gang, and I'm not interested in stepping out in front of this freight train. If the market does pull back, and I hope it does, I have my watch list for a pullback scenario is a lot of names. We had a lot of names on that list. And I'm just waiting for that pitch, if you will. Very excited about that. PDD. All right, let's take a look. All right, PDD. So if I'm looking at PDD and we like the structure, most definitely. This is a KWEB name. And if we can get a pullback, that's fine. KWEB's been getting a lot more volatile in some ways because of the weighting of BABA in it, right? We know what BABA has been doing. Well, death spiral. Although I think a lot of people are going to start bottom picking on BABA, so heads up for that. I'm looking for a 1, 2, 3 potential reversal on BABA. That said, PDD is part of the KWEB. I want to see what KWEB is doing, generally speaking. PDD is likely going to be one of your relative outperformers, certainly has better structure than KWEB, but pullback buys are fine. I don't play a lot of KWEB names on a regular basis, so all my cards on the table there. But if we can find the broader ETF, and we find that this is one of the heavier weighted stocks, which it is, it's number 3, and we find that it's got better structure. I mean, what else would I look at? I'd look at something like JD relatedly. We could look at something like Baidu relatedly. Baidu's gone absolutely parabolic. NetEase. What else? Tao. No. VIPs, right? So actually, I would say that VIPs and PDD are pretty interesting looking market. They haven't gone extremely parabolic. They are pulling back into our zones. We're closer to our pitch, and we overall see strength in KWEB. Just a lot of this stuff is the weighting of BABA, which is about 7% of the KWEB. So some of this is going to be susceptible to that. I'm not as concerned about it now because traders have pretty much accepted where BABA is. And if anything, I think there's probably more likelihood that BABA rallies after a reversal formation than it would be a drag on the KWEB. In other words, could it keep heading lower? Yes. But I think traders in the KWEB, traders in these Chinese stocks, and by the way, the KWEB is the China Internet ETF. So the impact BABA has, that shock factor is played out. And that's what I mean about that. So thanks for the question. I do like it. And that's why that's looking a little bit deeper past that single symbol, which is something I always do. All right, JP Morgan. Do I like it? It's parabolic along with a lot of the other stocks in the ETF itself. Would I like to get long? I will not get long at highs. I always need some sort of pullback. So once a market goes parabolic, at least it opens the door to potential momentum breakouts, but that is not my cup of tea, gang. And, it's not my cup of coffee. It's not my cup of coffee either. All right, let's see what else we have here. Give me one moment. Oh, hang on, I gotta mute something here. Turn this racket off. All right, so there we go. Okay, so hang on, gang. I got time for a couple more symbols, and then I'm going to be heading into the futures room and the sector secrets mastery room. Let's see. Do I use, Dorothy asked, do I use one cancels the other orders? Not normally, no. Not all platforms have OCO or conditional orders. But no, not always. I used to a lot more, Dorothy, in Forex many moons ago, but now I'm pretty much straight up limits and stops. I have no problem with those orders whatsoever, though. I think they're very handy. I think they're super handy. All right, so next up is, let's see. Yeah, if you got, and some of these symbols that I mentioned, gang, this is the sector secrets mastery. Like I said, I'll be moving into that room here in about 60 seconds. You can check out what we're doing there. Super excited about the community that we have growing, looking at ETFs, looking at stocks, looking at the options, taking advantage of the best kind of structures where the probability is highest. And a couple of names that you guys have asked, Nike, Starbucks, Honeywell, those are all on our watch list, and some of them are open trades right now. Thanks for trading. Let's see. Hey there, Mark. Yeah, just yesterday, Mark, just yesterday, we had our first profit target hit on our long position in the 6C, so really excited. Now I know we're pulling back today, but this is why once we hit T1, we also move to a break even. And so at this point, I know that I'm only risking unrealized gains on 50% of my overall position. Now, some traders got flat up here, which is fine. But for me, I'll scale out at 50% of my position. And I'm playing around with another 25% for T2. And then I'll usually put a trailing stop for the third exit. So I'm looking at really 3 targets in total. But this is the most important one because, again, this triggers the trade management because now the trade is a winner. So once you've got a winning trade, you've got to then move to that break even. I cannot emphasize that enough. And that's probably a great place to wrap up our conversation. So as always, gang, thank you so much for your questions. And thank you so much for being here, joining our charts and coffee community. I'm telling you, we're going to have t-shirts made this year. This is the year. This is the year. All right. So I want to, what time is today's session in the Sector Secrets? Oh, sure. So if you guys are part of Sector Secrets or want to join us, I'll be live at 2:30 p.m. So every Friday at 2:30 p.m., we do a 30-minute tech session. In other words, Rog, some of these indicators that are in your charts, most especially the free ones, which are most of what we use in the Sector Secrets, we have a tech session for 30 minutes, and then we go on for about another 30 minutes with Q&A. And of course, it's recorded for members, and we do that every Friday to kind of wrap up the week and prepare for the next. And that's aside from bonus videos or bonus sessions and the alerts that I send out. But this is where, for a lot of traders, the questions that they might have during the week, we address today, each and every Friday. So starting at 2:30 in that chat room there. Okay. All right, gang. Thanks as always for being part again of our group here in Charts and Coffee. I hope you find a lot of benefit to it. Thanks as always for your questions. Have a great weekend. Be careful today, options expiration. And I will likely see you on Monday. I think we'll do a Charts and Coffee on Monday. All right, gang. Be good to each other.